Alright ninjas, it is Sensei Zane back with another tutorial, and in today's tutorial we are going to be looking at terrain generation and all the different options you have to edit. So as you can see here, I'm just in a simple empty base plate. I went ahead and created a new project. So to find our terrain editor, we're going to want to go to our home tab of our ribbon. We're going to want to click editor. So, editor has two tabs. It has the create tab and the edit tab. Let's just stick with the create tab to start. Alright, so when I hit generate, it's going to give me my generation. So if I was to hit generate right now, all of this inside of the translucent cube would be my generation. So as you can see here, I can move it and I can also size it. So I'm going to give myself a pretty big generation here. And I don't really want mountains. Let's just keep it plains and hills. That'll work for me. I'm not going to really change any other settings, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Alright. So, as we can see here, my terrain has been generated. So I'm going to go ahead and find my spawn, because I believe I accidentally moved that, or I generated over it. So let's go ahead and spawn in and check out my generation. Alright, I am stuck immediately, I think. Should have turned caves off, but oh, no, I'm out. Alright, so as you can see here, this is my generation. So, awesome. This is what it randomly decided to give me. So, let's go ahead and stop. So, if I wanted to, I could generate more, but I think I'm just going to work with what I already have. So, going to the Edit tab, the main options we are going to look at is Draw, Sculpt, Smooth, and Flatten. So, let's check out Draw first. So, in our brush settings, we see we have the Add and Subtract brush modes. We also have different different shapes for our brushes. So, I have a sphere, cube, and cylinder. Alright, so, base size. This is an option that will allow me to increase the size of my brush. So, for example, let me just make sure I don't do it over the spawn point, but if I was to do that, we can see that I now have a gigantic sphere that kind of looks like a hole, or that kind of looks like a really, really weird hill. So again, if I was to subtract this, you can see, oops, I didn't want to do it that far, but you can see that I can subtract my generation as well. So say that was a little too big, let's just kind of sculpt this down a tad. A little too much. I think right there would be kind of good. So now it looks like a giant crater, but that's okay. Alright, next up we have Sculpt. So Sculpt, again, very similar to the Draw. However, Sculpt is more of a way to fill in. So as you can see, I'm kind of filling it in to make it a little more natural looking. Then we have Smooth. So what Smooth will do is it will smooth out a lot of the terrain, getting rid of some of those really jagged edges, making it look a little bit more natural. There we go. Next up we have Flatten. So Flatten is going to completely flatten the terrain to where I want it. And you can tell where it's being flattened to because you are able to see this grid map here. That is the level, that is the Z level that the terrain will be flattened to. Now, next up we have material settings. So say I don't just want to do grass. Maybe I want to generate some asphalt. Turn this down a tad. Let's say I want to make kind of like a sidewalk. So let's go ahead and make this 8. Oops, I have that on subtract. It's a little high up, but there we go. Now it is generating an asphalt instead of grass. I can also do it if I wanted to do bricks. Now I have a generation of bricks, and I can also stack that just like that. And you can also use it with the sculpt as well. So say I want to make it look kind of like a roof, I can do this, and it will sculpt kind of a roof around the brush. And as you can see there, it's kind of like Minecraft where it's building up. So now I have a really weird house. Let's go ahead and just build that up a little more. Alright, and then smooth and flatten do not have materials, as those are used to remove generation. So we don't need any sort of material selector when dealing with those, as those are just meant to remove. But now if I go ahead and spawn in, here we go. This is my generation. So you can use the terrain editor to do a lot of really cool things. There was a lot that we went over when it came to the terrain editor. So I'm hoping this demonstration kind of condensed that and made it a little easier to understand. But that'll be the end of this tutorial.